All right, welcome back to the Frightflix channel and our weekly review of the X-Files revival. I'm Nate.
Mark.
You find us both on social media. All my social media handles are Nateflix, so look for Nateflix.
At Cleverlang on Twitter.
This week's episode is called Home Again. It is coming off last week's episode, which was easily the best X-Files episode of this season.
Easily.
And possibly one of the all-time great episodes of X-Files. So this week had a lot to live up to.
Or not live up to.
It had a lot to live up to, and it didn't live up to any of it, in my estimation. It was another Monster of the Week. Last week was a self-contained episode. This week's a self-contained episode. It wasn't funny or clever, which is fine. It was going for scary and intense, which is also fine, only it missed the mark.
There was some I found funny and clever. Was the scene with the lady who they emphasized her upper echelon kitchen appliances, including her Keurig and her compactor trash, and then they show her get thrown in her own trash compactor, all to the theme of downtown.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to clean up with the homeless people. I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, there were 2 or 3 kill scenes, which were all really brutal and effective. And kind of, at least the first one was shocking. You know, just because the Monster of the Week is ripping people apart. And that was pretty cool. But in between the gore, there left a lot to be desired. You know, it made me think a lot about Candyman. And like the supernatural slasher movies of the late 80s and 90s.
Sure. It started off strong like that, and then it just kind of disappeared.
They didn't dig deeper into it. And just like, if you're the oddball weirdo that's listening to this review without having watched the episode, it's this giant homeless guy dressed in rags who rides around on this ghostly garbage truck. Although sometimes he's also a painting, ... And he is an avatar for the homeless who targets people that make the homeless people's lives worse and rips them apart.
Yeah, he's the CM Punk of the homeless people. The voice of the voiceless. And then he's also a Banksy version of a garbage man.
Yes, and when it gets right down to it, it's something as bland as not even like some sort of higher idea, like they could have gone a Candyman route. It's a golem. It's an artist made this dude out of clay and hated the homeless situation so much that apparently
Dreidel.
the hate sunk into the golem and it came to life and gave it all manner of superpowers. And that's it. Like, there wasn't even, like, a cool idea behind it. It was...
Well, he did have the Nelly look. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, with the Band-Aid. Yeah. I mean, X-Files has even done golems before. And it was just lacking. And there wasn't that extra step, that extra X-Files edge to it, where they take it a step further, or they get into the science of it, or they hit you with a really wild, far-out idea. It was... kind of been there, done that idea, mixed with like a real lukewarm Occupy homeless people message, which that wasn't even strong. It was so like half-assed. Everything about the episode was half-assed.
Yeah, and the political part kind of backfired because I got excited when they started hosing people. I love that shit.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Clean it up.
Clean out the streets. So it just dropped the ball. It wasn't a terrible episode. It felt dated and just depressingly mediocre.
I don't understand or like the dead mother angle that they went with. It's not... I didn't feel bad for the character because I'm not that familiar with the mother character.
Right.
Or the brother or the disenfranchised relationship that they had. Or a quarter necklace. It didn't do much for me. The acting was amazing.
Before we take a step further, the acting was really good, but I totally agree. There were all these really important family drama things happening that I didn't care about. I just wasn't invested, and that you got to blame like the writing and directing. They served up some drama that didn't feel dramatic. Even the end, two characters that I love, Mulder and Scully, sitting on the beach with her mom's ashes, having like this quiet moment. It should have meant something, and it didn't. It didn't really mean anything. It had no weight to it.
No. Every time I see an Ash scene, I think of The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always hope for that moment.
So it was lackluster. Actually, it leads to me. I don't even have any notes this week. There wasn't anything.
It's not worth it
to note about. The one thing that did come to mind is that this episode was written and directed by Glenn Morgan, who's usually brings the heat. This time he didn't.
I believe it's the movie Walking Tall, the Dewey Cox story, where Dewey kills his brother, and the father says throughout the movie, they killed the wrong brother.
Right.
Well, after last week's episode with his brother, that's what I thought this entire fucking show.
And in season 1, there was one of my all-time favorite episodes that he wrote called Beyond the Sea with Brad. That's the one with Brad Dourif as a death row inmate. In that episode, he kills Scully's dad, and then in this other episode, he writes he kills Scully's mom. I think maybe I'm reading a little too much into it, but this writer just wasn't trying very hard. He went back and was redoing stuff he'd already done. It was an episode I felt like I had already seen, ideas X-Files had already done, and just none of it popped.
Well, it just makes you wonder if the 6 episodes has one general purpose, and it's not a conspiracy or anti-conspiracy, it's about their kid. Because that's the whole direction of this episode, is to emphasize.
Right.
And something I didn't like, and I imagine that the design was when she gets a phone call from William that we're supposed to immediately think of the baby, but it didn't cross my mind immediately that that's what they were going for, but I think that was what they were doing in a failed attempt to build, like, oh no, is that their kid calling?
I think you may be right.
But it fucking was horrible.
Last week, I thought I was being clever and saying that, oh yeah, all this is building up to the son, coming back in episode 6. After this week's episode, it's a foregone conclusion. The kid is definitely coming back, because not in a good way, like a good plot strand that's going to develop. They're sort of beating us over the head with it. Oh, I miss my son, I miss my son. I feel so bad I gave our son up. I feel so bad I gave our son up. So he's back in episode maybe 5 or 6. I would be shocked if we don't see this really heavy-handed storyline play out with just a face-to-face confrontation with their son.
Yeah, I'm not excited at all about it.
Nope. And looking forward to that. The next 2 episodes, the final 2 episodes, are both written and directed by Chris Carter.
Again, his episode was shitty, so I'm not psyched about that either.
The next episode is called Babylon, but the season finale...
That's what we're doing right now.
The season finale is called My Struggle 2. Now, the season opener was called My Struggle, and I was like, I have a feeling he just wrote a 2-parter and then used it to bookend this season.
Yeah.
So, well, this certainly looks to be the case. The season finale is actually My Struggle 2. And I don't like it when TV shows use, sequel numbers in their episode titles,
No.
Technically, every fucking episode is a sequel to the one that came before it, so...
True that.
All right, but, we're talking long-term here because there's really nothing in the long-term here in this particular episode. Home again. It was a Monster of the Week, and a really poorly done Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
You usually ask me this, but I'll ask you this. Did you have a favorite part of this episode?
Besides the ending? Yeah. The Trash Man is played by Tim Armstrong. So frontman for Rancid and the Transplants. I thought he was fucking great. He was so good that and it was so left untied at the end that I hope he comes back and in some way.
I would hate to see this storyline come back in any way, but
it's totally unexplained. I mean, they allude to things, but there's nothing done, and he's not going anywhere.
They could still do it. They could take this core idea and him, because you're right, he looked super cool. He was a great, like, supernatural slasher character called the Trash Man. Take this script, throw away all the bullshit, take the core idea, develop it a lot better, and you've got a movie.
Well, I don't even like the zombie Nelly guy. Fuck that dude. As a matter of fact, most of Nelly's music is trash, so that works together. I just like the Trash Man, the guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got all these
The
paper
actual
mache
artist.
dummies, and he's got all these creatures he's created. So he's got potential for more, or an army. Who knows? That's what I liked is the potential of him.
Yeah, they could do something good with it. My favorite part was actually a line in the middle of all this shit that I didn't care about. When Scully says to Mulder, you're a dark wizard. And he just sort of laughs a little bit. I don't know. It was this really good... What's that?
Faggy romance bullshit.
I thought it was a really good character moment, and it was the only part of the episode that I felt like I was really watching Mulder and Scully.
They got you with the relationship builder episode.
Yeah.
Nice, that's cute.
Right.
I actually got a little queasy when I heard that line and that little... I didn't care for it. I did like the flashback, though, when Mulder looked like he was 10.
Yeah. They did go back and show several times some footage from the original series, which is cool, but... Meh. How are you going to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
4.
Yeah. 4. And I'm only going as high as 4 because I respect the acting work that was done. And, it wasn't the worst thing I ever saw. It was just, you've only got 6 episodes. Each one is supposed to count. And this one didn't count.
I was going to give it a 2 originally, but I kind of feel like I know that these few episodes are out of sequence. This was supposed to be before the Reese Darby episode. So I'm guessing there's storytelling that's going to build upon this episode. So that's the reason I didn't kill it completely. Give it hope. See if it comes together.
All right, 4 out of 10. Well, this wrapped up a little bit quickly, so something else I wanted to bring up was last week, that episode I praised so highly because I thought it was unique, something only the X-Files could have done. Something that I kept thinking during this week's episode was, how much more interesting would this plot be if it was being handled by the Fringe team? That show would have taken it in a different direction, maybe gone a little... This is the sort of story that could have played in several different shows, and it made me think wistfully of Fringe and how they could have done this one better.
Let it go, dude.
Yeah?
Let it go.
All right, well then, that wraps it up. What did you think of this week's episode? Did you hate it more than us, or about as much as we did? You can leave a comment on this video, or hit us up through social media.
Is that it? Are we done?
Unless you got something else.
Yeah, let me get a quick, unrelated shout-out to two Washington Suns that both retired this week. Marshawn Lynch from the Seattle Seahawks will always be a Buffalo Bill beast mode, and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. Both those guys calling it quits. Thank you, guys.
All right, so yeah, shout out to the quitters. We'll be back next week with the review of Babylon. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot additional to say about that episode, I don't think.
Nah, fuck this episode.
It was just depressingly mediocre.
Yeah. Definitive strike one. It was true detective quality. That's how I felt.
What's that?
True detective quality, as far as disappointment.
Yeah.
Fucking hated it.
Because, the first episode was a disappointment, but it wasn't that it was terrible. I just wanted it to be great.
Unrealistic expectations killed the first episode for me, so I don't hold that against the show. The second episode was okay. Third episode was great, and then this episode was shitty on almost any level.
It would have been a filler it would have fit in as a filler episode in like the last few seasons.
They got trash men, right? They should just put like a comma after trash to describe the episode.
Yeah.
Like, trash, man.
It's trash, man.
Fucking horrible.
Yeah, I'm not super excited with the fact that Chris Carter is writing and directing the next two. You know. Also, I gotta say, I'm a little bit pissed. Isn't the right word? Perturbed, I guess.
Ooh.
The fact that because of the way they're fucking structuring it, we get Skinner for like 1 or 2 scenes first up, and we get one glimpse of Cancer Man, and we're not going to get him till we'll get maybe another little tiny bit
at the end of the last episode.
Right, they're not going to. Now I realize they're not going to pop up throughout the series. They were like, it was basically a one and done.
Well, they got to honey dick you. They can't give you everything. You know, they got to make you want that new season.
Yeah, and with I thought the interaction between Mulder and Scully was on point this week. Like the actors, they found their fucking groove.
It was strong. I was just uninterested in that angle of the story at the
time. No, like the episode itself was, the actors can only carry so much, and they did their part, and nobody else did their part.
I mean, I love kissing and foreplay, but if you're given a 10-minute time period to come, you get going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't waste any time. This episode seemed like a lot of fucking wasted time to me.
And it's fine to do a Monster of the Week. They did that last week, but fucking nail it. Kill that shit.
A garbage man just doesn't do anything. Duke did dumpster Drosy episode.
No.
And who drove the?
That's why I said it was a ghost dump truck. Because he would only use it sometimes. Sometimes he would move by painting.
Just imagine the legal issues that the sanitation department would face.
Right.
If their truck's going around without a driver.
Jesus. And it's like they had set up, like, and he, like Candyman, he's got all these rules that he follows. But then they never bothered saying what those were. They're just sort of, I fucking hated the painting shit. Like, and I'll acknowledge that's an idea that you could sketch out somehow. Like some sort of, I don't know, crazy Banksy graffiti street artist whose creations come to life. But it was sometimes he was a moving painting and sometimes he was in a ghost garbage truck. What the fuck? I don't know. Weak.
No, he was like a Banksy Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Banksy juice.
Yeah. Little young Winona Riders there. That'd be cool. She was sexy.
Dude, she shows up on Drunk History quite a bit. She's looking really good.
Yeah.
She is.
That's nice. She was a MILF on Star Trek, the movie. Right? Was that the one where she just appears?
I forget. She's in one of the Star Trek things briefly, but file it under one of those things like Star Trek and X-Men for me. Stuff that I'm aware of and I've seen, but I don't really care.
She was a shoplifter, right?
Yes, she was the shoplifter.
Good girl. She just takes what she wants. I like that.
Yeah, she's a star. That's what stars should be able to do. You kept recording, right? Because we'll use a lot of this stuff, too.
I guess, yeah. I'm so uninspired by the episode, I didn't even want to do the podcast. Not because I don't want to do it, just because I have nothing to say about the episode that's positive.
No.
Fucking hurts.
Well, on to bigger and better things, hopefully.
I think this is what the murderer, was it making a murderer? I think this is what their family feels like about their son.
Hey, and I guess, since we're still recording, I'll also call bullshit on the fact that Glenn Morgan wrote, he did that episode Home about the inbred cannibal, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre family.
Oh, the falsifying the title there, misleading people?
Yeah, it really... because it's not like the title of this episode, Home Again, had anything to really do with the episode. It was very generic. I feel it was placed there as a reference.
I think the Home Again, I think they, again, not to overuse the term, but they honey dick people like you.
Yeah.
You got psyched for it. Like, oh shit, we're going to have that again. And I also think it's a reference to the Scully mom dying and her relationship with her estranged son and, come home again, William.
Yeah.
Fuck William. I hate that name so much now. William.
It's very forgettable.
Fuck that name. Williams. William Dafoe. I like him. William Bell. Talk about Fringe. Got that there.
Although it's Willem Dafoe. He's not a William.
Oh, it is Willem.
It's Willem.
Ooh, that's a huge strike against William. I take that back.
Yeah, he was...
and they got Will I Am. That's...
Another strike.
Yeah, fuck him. Asshole. That's why The Weeknd looks like him but sings better.
Shoot, I guess that's it.
Alright. Let's burn this. Fuck you, episode 4.